Okay, here's a screen recording to help you know how to lay out and use opacity to create the sense of transparency amongst layers in a Photoshop design. So this one is set up using a 50% gray background or middle gray, and then I drew in the letters and sized them and arranged them in a composition that looked interesting to me. And then what's key to notice is this quality over here called opacity. You see this first letter G, the white is 100%, but this, let's see which one, this letter G, you see it's black, but it's at 68%. So we're going to be playing with opacity to create this illusion of transparency. All right, so let's get right into it. We will open up a new file, and the file should be inches, of course. It's going to be a 5x8 design. You can decide whether it's horizontal or vertical, whatever works for you. It should be 300 pixels per inch, and definitely make sure that you're making this color mode equal grayscale. Going to fill a layer with 50% gray. So to do that, I'm doing Command A to select the whole layer. And then I got to pick a gray. Here in the hue, saturation, and brightness, I'm going to put in a 50% brightness, which will be our middle gray. And I'll fill that with Option Delete. Take away the selection by hitting Command Delete. Now, in the previous screencast, you saw me create this selection of this iconic figure. You can use any form that has nice, simple shapes. It could be a car, it could be a plant, anything, but it needs to come from your own photos. So now I'm going to Command C, copy this, and come over here and Command V, paste it. Clearly it was much larger than that other photo, so I am holding the Shift and the Option key to shrink this down. Now this one is right now, let's just verify, this should be white because I pulled it over from the other one. So this is, if I change the opacity, you can see it get paler, but at 100%, that is 100% white. So let's go ahead and make a copy of this layer. Come on now. There we go. And I'm going to pull that over. And I'm going to now use this opacity tool. You can either type in a number or click the arrow, and you can do some dragging. So you can see the opacity changing. It's getting lighter, which means it's not as opaque, so more of the gray is showing through. I'll do that again. Hold Shift, drag that over. So it's the same amount of opacity here. Now I'm going to take it down even lower. More than that. So it's beginning to blend into the background even more. And let's do that 2 more times. Pull this over. I made a copy of it and pulling it over here. Now this time I'm actually going to fill it with another color. Command, click in this window here to get the selection of that shape. Back over here I want to get black, so I'm going to click on the return to the default. Now I have black defined here. And I just hit Option Delete and assigned it. It does not appear as black because we're way down at 28% or 26% opacity. But that's good for right now. We're going to copy that layer once more, pulling it down. And now this time I'm going to change the opacity and drag it way on up to get it much darker again. Maybe not quite that dark. What I'm looking for is something that around here is going to look like black. Okay, so now we've got a basic value scale going on, and now I'm just going to do some changes to make this composition more interesting. So I'm going to come back to the first white one, and I'm going to hold Shift Option and make it much bigger, and let it come down and create kind of a foreground for our composition. I'll accept that. Go to the next one and move it over. I think it could be slightly bigger. Move that over. And this one, I'm going to move over a little bit. And now this next one, I'm going to move over, but I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. So now I have one facing the other direction. Let's do that with this last one also. Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Now this is totally fine if you want to do this with the iconic image that you might get from your own photographs, but I'm going to ask for the letter forms that you do not flip them horizontal. Let's keep the letter forms in their intended arrangement. Now I'm making aesthetic decisions here in terms of size and so forth. But let's go back and review, because this whole assignment is meant to help us work with some transparency. So let's review how many different values we have. We certainly have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values just from putting the figures on here and using white with several different levels of opacity. And then here's black. It happens to have only 2 levels of opacity, and that's fine. Then where these also overlap, we get another value in there, and we also have a value in the background. This one is so pale you almost can't see it. I might want to adjust that a little bit. And this one I want to make just slightly darker. So I'm going to click on that layer and go back to the opacity and make it a little less opaque, which in essence is making it darker in this assignment. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you can create a silhouette, multiply it, apply white or black to it, and use opacity to change its level of darkness and create this illusion of transparency.